In this video, I'm going to take you through my 4 key takeaways from the ACCA SBL pre-seen information for the September 2026 examination. That is for the company of Hasper World. My name is James, and if you'd like access and a copy of my exclusive SBL notes you can see above me that have helped students around the world to pass their examination, just click the link in my bio or down in the description of this video and you can have a copy yourself. I'm also delighted to say I'm affiliated and associated with the Stranti, and they offer mock examination papers and pre-seen analysis packs designed specifically on the pre-seen information for September 2026 for Hasper World. And if you'd like access and to check those out, again, click the link in my bio or down in the description of this video and you can have a look at those that are definitely going to help you to get the 50 plus. Also, just a note, as always, for pure transparency on the channel, if you were to purchase anything, I'd be entitled to a small percentage which goes to supporting the content. And as always, a massive, huge thank you. And let's get straight into these key takeaways, where if you have any questions on the pre-seen notes, leave me a comment down below. I will get back to you, because my first key takeaway is that Hasper World is performing very well on there. It comes across. You can see on here on page 2, the third largest theme park actually in the marketplace in 2005 in Dealand on there. So all going very well. You can see on page 7 as we go down, they are well established in the marketplace. So this is where you need to be applying this key information on your exam day. That is what the marker is going to be looking for. So established for over 50 years. You can see where my mouse is on the top left hand side. We've got the Glenn brothers who actually established the organisation. It's been going along. They've been investing, as you can see, in one of the tallest and longest actual roller coasters in Dealand. That was installed 4 years ago. And this is where it's fully family owned as well. So again, a massive advantage that they can actually come to decisions quite quickly on there. It has a different feel to it. So you can see here on page 8, that is where we're told Hasper World is 100% family owned on there. So again, little things like that we should be linking into, that they're performing well. And you can also link it to, if you go down to the KPIs on page 12 at the bottom. So the total revenue has been going up, revenue per visitor is going up, visitor numbers are going up on there. These are all the major things that you should be going to yourself, well, on paper, on face value, this is where we're looking at it's going well. However, there are slight downward trends that you can see there. So the number of visitors for the market share percentage and the year-on-year visitor attendance growth. What we're saying there is that as the market, as a sector grows, the number of visitors in the bottom left-hand diagram has dropped from just over 18% to 16%. And then year-on-year attendance growth is a lot lower than the industry average, which showcases the point that they make on page 8 in terms of the actual NBA shareholders on there, so non-business active. And the quote that I would get down is, you can see in that final sentence on there, some of the NBA shareholders have expressed concerns at slowing performance, that's of Hasper World, and the potential need to bring in fresh ideas on there. So this is where, again, let's take the example of that roller coaster on there. So one of the tallest, it was installed 4 years ago. If you went to the theme park 4 years ago, what are the chances of you actually going back? Are they investing into new areas? And we'll touch on things like technology and accommodation. So that is my first key takeaway for you to note, is they're performing well, but there are some warning signs that the board of directors in particular have to make some decisions for the organisation. Key takeaway number 2, family ownership. There are strengths, however, there are also some governance challenges on there. What you need to have a look on there for these points is on page 8. So you can see on the right hand side, we've touched on it before, but the key thing for you to get down in your notes is Henrik and Arthur and Claude are the key names for the family members that we've provided with, who have had the most impact over the years when it's been actually operating. And in terms of areas that you should be considering there for strengths of, it's 100% family owned, so they've got long-term thinking on there, commitment to the cause, they're not just going to jump ship on there. And you could argue that there should be faster decision making because they all know each other. However, the flip side, and this could come up as an exam style question, you've got to thinking what are the difficulties or the disadvantages? Well, conflicts of interest, resistance to change, are they all singing from the same hymn sheet? And potentially a actual concentration of power on there. What you need to have a look at is on page 9 on the left hand side now. I've done you a ownership structure, so you can see Henrik has 10%, Arthur has 10%, the current executive board members of the sons and daughters have 50%, and then other Glen family members have 30% on there. So this is where you just need to be crystal clear as to the actual setup. But then the composition of the board, this is the key bit for your notes, is we're not told of any non-executive directors on there. Also in terms of committees, so you might have an audit committee on there, remuneration committee. There could be links to potential agency issues, so who's actually in control of the business versus the returns on there. So get down agency theory as another potential factor. And lastly, because it's a family-run organisation, you've got to consider things like succession planning as to, well, Lief, Joe, Marta and Susan, we're not told the details of their ages, how many other family members they have, and this is where it's going to impact on different stakeholder groups, how the board is going to operate moving forward, especially when they're going to have to come to decisions that we've been told, like we come back to again on that page 8 comment from some of the NBA shareholders, the non-business active ones, potential need to bring in fresh ideas. And this is where they've been really successful to date, strong commitment on there, but the marketplace and the actual visitors are changing in terms of their expectations, and the old business model may need to adapt to actually maintain their market share on there. So that is why my actual key takeaway number 2, family ownership, strengths and potential governance challenges on there are some of the key points that you need to be aware of and to get down. But the last bit, just to note on my notes on the top of page number 9. So Hasper World does not appear to follow the formal corporate governance code on there, as it's privately held. It's a family-owned business on there, and it doesn't have the same standard expectations of a listed company. So that is the key thing for you to get down in your notes. This is not a listed company. It's family owned on there. If it was listed, it would have to have these committees and would have to have a certain number of non-executive directors. But that's still outstanding. They should look to actually have these in place because of the nature of the organization. Now, key takeaway number 3, customer experience is at the heart of the business on there. Now, where are we going with this? First of all, you've got to go down to the actual key diagrams, the KPIs, again on page 12. So we've been given the net promoter score, and the visitor numbers have been going up. So the net promoter score is all about how likely are they to actually recommend for their friends, family to actually visit the theme park itself. You can see in the extracts of the website for Hasper World on the left-hand side, linking into the customers on there are at the forefront. They want to entertain, educate, excite and bring joy to people and visitors to Dealand on there, inspiring people through entertainment and fun. So anything linking to the customer experience, link it back to their mission, vision and values. And if it disagrees with it, be sure to quote it directly. Now, why is this important as to it's on the list as to the actual breakdown of why I've got it as a key takeaway? Well, we've been given lots of information in the pre-scene details you can see on the screen, especially from pages 3 to 5, customer segmentation, the typical sort of actual rides that we have at the theme park. It's where you are tested in the SBL exam of the application of the industry and the business itself. So some key things that I think could be an issue on your exam day linking to that customer experience. I would first of all have expectations of the customers on there, something maybe to do with the attractions and the rides. So some are open all year round. You can see on my notes on page 3, some are closed. The service quality on there, I mean, they've been talking about the level of investment, waiting times, repeat visits, loyalty, pricing, digital technology, reputation, and reviews. So you've got to be saying to yourself there, well, we've got all this information about theme parks and what could happen about how it's actually implemented on the exam day with potential issues, well, linking it on to pages 9 and 10 now with the IT systems, the risk management areas, and the operations and the staff. You've got to say to yourself, how can we increase customer value on there? And that's, I would have down in my notes, actually investing in new attractions, investing in technology, and increasing the experience for the visitors. We're also told that there is no accommodation or actual hotels on the site for Hasper World on there, but they do own all of their food and retail outlets. So again, that is another major thing for them to say, well, positive on there, we keep all of the revenue internally, but in terms of actually improving that customer experience, you've definitely got to get down there. That you can see on page 7 on my notes. Unlike the other two largest rivals, HW does not have on-site hotel or accommodation for its visitors. Whereas we're told earlier on in the pre-C materials, especially international visitors, they want accommodations, they want hotels to stay there for longer. And if the customers, the visitors stay there for longer, they actually spend more money. And the last point to that is, if you go down to they spend more money, look at the revenue per visitor graph on there. So yes, you could say on one front, it's been going up from $49 to $54. But these are guests that are just coming for the day. They're not staying over. They're not being there for a number of days. They're just coming for a day trip. So $54, that could drastically be improved and increased if, for instance, they were to open a hotel or potential accommodation. So customer experience, how can they actually increase that at Hearts and make it a more attractive place? And lastly, key takeaway number 4, growth and investment. I kind of jumped the gun there a bit in terms of the hotels, as we already talked about. But the other key one on there, if you go up in your notes further up, we're looking for the actual technology points now on here. So we've been told about when they're actually open throughout the day, but the industry challenges on pages 5 and 6, along with the advancements in technology, definitely get down in your notes. Virtual reality and augmented reality. The examiners for SBL love to test in things like cyber risk, technology on there, AI. These are things that visitors to a theme park now are looking for themes. They're looking for entertainment, excitement. It's not just simply going on the rides. And that is where you could link it into other areas such as Pestle on there. There are economic points within the actual pre-scene materials that lots of people in D-Land have actual disposable income and they want to go and spend it on there. We're not told it's in a recession point of view, it's in a good economy, and that is where having these advancements in technology, along with the sort of trade-off that you need to look at the cost-benefit analysis in terms of growth and investment, other key areas for you to get down in your notes: sustainability, health and safety, employees, and how it is financing the actual investments itself. This is where you could link in models such as the SAF model. So is it actually suitable on there for it to be included within the organization itself? And as you're going through, linking it to the risks as well. So we've got on there health and safety. What could go wrong? There could be a lawsuit for it. And again, have a look at some of the actual models that I've got within the pre-scene information. So we've got on here actually the Johnson, Scholes and Whittington one up at the top. So this is the SAF model, which is also known about. So is the investment suitable? Is it feasible? And is it acceptable? If it ticks all those boxes on there, then applying that SAF model could actually be one of the things that you could demonstrate your SBL knowledge, and definitely going to help you to pick up on those extra marks. But in terms of growth and investment, make sure you're applying some of the key areas, especially things like in page 2 on here, where we're told some of these key figures. Make sure you remember these for your exam day. So page number 2, first key stat at the bottom there, that D-Land's theme park market actually earned an estimated revenue of nearly $1 billion for 2005. I would definitely apply that in terms of backing up why we should be increasing the level of investment. The other one on here for D-Land has a population of over 60 million people in a well-developed economy. This is where they've actually got the disposable income to actually spend money at the theme parks themselves. And there are plenty more as you go through, like on the left-hand side here on page number 3. So together, these from the 3 largest theme parks, they attracted over 10 million visitors in 2005, increasing by 4% on the previous year. So plenty of these little stats and percentages that were given within the actual pre-scene information that you could be applying within your answers. That is definitely going to help you out to pick up on the marks. And that takes you through my 4 key takeaways from the SBL pre-scene notes for the September 2026 sitting for Hasper World. As I said, if you'd like access and a copy of my exclusive notes, click the link in my bio or down in the description, along with checking out those Astranti mock examinations and pre-scene analysis packs based specifically on Hasper World. I've done plenty more videos on these pre-scene information notes, so make sure you subscribe and follow, and I'll see you on the other side now for another video. So thank you very much.